Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something that is, I think, really important. And if you're dealing with it, you know that it's really important. And that is dog anxiety. We're going to talk about 4 very specific things that you can do to stop dog anxiety. And number 2, you can do it right now and stop the dog anxiety. So don't miss that. But the others, 1, 3, and 4 are going to be things that you can work with your dog on and help them kind of cope in the long term. But number 2 will help you deal with it like tonight if you have a dinner party. So I've got a personal story with that I'm going to share with you a little bit later. Before we get to the video though, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If this is something that's helpful to you, I'd love it if you'd give me a like and kind of let me know that this is the kind of content, this is the kind of help that you're needing with your dog. If there's other help that you need, if there's other questions you have about dog behavior, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what kind of video I can do to help you have a better relationship with your dog. All right, let's get to the video and talk about how to stop dog anxiety. Okay, before we jump into how to fix anxiety, you ought to know that there are lots of things that can cause anxiety. I want to mention 4 of them. The most common one, and probably the one that you're most familiar with if you're watching this video, is separation anxiety. You go to work, your dog freaks out. You go to drive to the grocery store and your dog's freaking out at the window. Separation anxiety is probably the most common dog anxiety. At least it's the one that I hear people ask about the most frequently. The next one that I hear a lot about, and the one that I have some experience with because of my dad's dog, is fear-based anxiety. So anxiety that's caused by some external issue that's making your dog afraid. So that's number 2. Number 3, this is just kind of mental. Because of the temperament of the breed or because of the temperament of their parents, they just come inherently anxious. And those are some of the most difficult ones to deal with. And then the 4th one that is the most that you can do something about, and maybe the easiest to cure, is anxiety that's brought on by boredom. There's the 4 most common types of anxiety that I'm familiar with. Now that we kind of have that, let's talk about what anxiety looks like. How do you know if your dog's experiencing anxiety? Some of the most common, it really kind of nuisance behavior that seems out of character for them. So a lot of barking, chewing, digging, scratching, wetting or having accidents in the house when you know that your dog's potty trained, pacing back and forth, whimpering. Sometimes dogs that are experiencing anxiety will refuse to eat. Let's go ahead and jump to the 4 ways to fix dog anxiety. Okay, the first thing that you want to do to fix dog anxiety is get your dog used to being by themselves, and you're going to do that in little chunks at a time. If your dog is already experiencing anxiety because you're gone for 5-6 hours a day, and you every morning you watch your dog go through this routine of getting worked up and amped up and more anxious until the moment that you leave, and then you hear them just go off the wall, whether because they're in the crate or the kennel or even in the house. Some of that's probably your fault, and I don't say that to be rude or mean, but often we have morning traditions or morning routines that signal to the dog that I'm about to leave for a really long time. And those signals, your dog picks up on those. And so when your dog sees you doing certain things, if you have a habit or a routine, and then immediately after that they're alone for 6 hours, then when that becomes very apparent to them, then every time they see you doing those things, they're going to get worked up and anxious. So the best way to fix that is to just socialize them to being alone by going through some of those things that you do in the morning before you go to work or before you leave for long periods of time. Do them, walk out of the house, stay out of the house and out of your dog's sight for 2 minutes, and then go back into the house and play with the dog. Go play catch, go do something with them. Then go do it again, go through the process again, go out for 5 minutes this time, and then come back and play with the dog. when you first start doing this, you may only want to be gone for 30 seconds. The idea is you don't want your dog to actually break down and have an a nervous breakdown. You want to get out and back in before your dog really goes into their nervous fit, because you kind of want to get them, you want this period of time to slowly grow, and you want your dog to never really know how long you're leaving for. And if there's the possibility that you're going to be just right back, then there's no need for your dog to freak out. There's no need to start chewing on the couch. There's no need to start peeing on the rug, because there's the potential that you might be right back. And so I'm just gonna go lay down on the rug and wait for you to come back, or I'm gonna go lay on my bed, or I'm just gonna chill out in the kennel. And so you want to mix that up, that time-wise. And this is one of those things that you need to do over a period of time. All right, number 2, and this is the one that I wanted to, this is the one that you can do right now to fix your dog's separation anxiety. So the last tip I gave you is something that takes a little bit of time. It's something you have to work through. Sometimes you don't have that time. Sometimes you've got something going on at the house and you've had to put your dog in the crate, and they're not used to really spending a lot of time in the crate, so they're freaking out. They're sitting in the back room just barking, or they're out in the backyard barking. What you're going to do in that case is get what I think is one of the most critical dog toys of, no matter what breed you have, no matter how size they are, you need yourself one of these. It's called a Kong toy, or a Kong treat toy. And what I do is I just fill it with treats. If you know that you're going to have to entertain your dog for a really long time, then you want to actually get the dog food, just get your dog's dry kibble, soak it in water, get it to kind of absorb some of that water. Then you're going to spoon it into the Kong toy and stick it in the freezer overnight. I know this takes some preparation. It's not a bad idea to buy 4 or 5 of these and just keep them in. I mean, I think they're $6 or $7, maybe $9 at the most, depending on what size you get. Keep them in the freezer, especially if you've got a freezer outside that you can kind of keep away. Your wife may not. I know my wife would not want frozen dog food next to the dinner steaks, but it's frozen, so it's fine. Then throw that in the kennel. Let me tell you about an experience we had over Christmas break. So I have a sister-in-law whose dog is not used to spending a lot of time in the crate. Because of the temperatures in Idaho, and because they didn't want to leave home alone and they were going to spend the night, they brought the dog with them. We were getting together, all of the adults, and having a dinner, and they put the dog in the crate, and the dog and then left, and the dog immediately started going nuts and would not stop barking. So I happened to have a Kong toy for one of my dogs. Went down, filled. I didn't have time to freeze it because, like I say, this was like a right now kind of thing. I just took dry kibble, put it in the Kong toy, and stuck it in the crate, and then left. And we went up and enjoyed the rest of the dinner. We played games, and for the next 2.5 hours, we never heard. Marshall never made another word, or I guess another noise. We didn't hear him bark a single time. And when I went back, he was totally calm, resting in his crate, and he'd made it through the night. So number 2 is to get yourself a Kong treat. So the second idea is to get yourself a Kong toy, fill it with some dry kibble, put it in their crate or in their kennel, and let that kind of grab their attention. It's kind of like with a small child. You get their attention off of what's causing them the anxiety and get them to focus on something else that they enjoy more, and they're going to calm down pretty quickly. All right, the third thing that you can do, and this is maybe more common sense. I think we think it's common sense, but the fact that we have to talk about it means maybe it's not as common as we think it is. The third thing you're going to do is exercise. Get your dog out and get them exercised, especially if you've got a larger breed dog like we do, Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Boxers, St. Bernards, the really Dalmatians. These dogs that are really, really big, they're animals and they need to move. And so they need some physical exercise. And in addition to that, many of these dogs are working dogs. So if you've got an Australian Shepherd or any kind of a Shepherd mix, Labradors, Golden Retrievers, sporting dogs, German Shorthairs, those dogs have been bred to not only use their physical stamina and run for miles and miles and miles, but they've also been bred to use their minds, to use their noses and their senses, and to figure things out. You know, where's the bird at, and to go to smell it and go find it. And so sometimes what will happen with these dogs, they'll get just so bored. They're hardwired to do these things, and then they get bored, and so they find other things to do that you're not gonna appreciate, like the destructive nuisance behaviors we talked about earlier. So the third thing that you can do to fix dog anxiety, especially boredom-based anxiety, is just get them physically worn out and get them mentally exhausted. Try to get them, get them using their heads. All right, the fourth thing that I want to talk about, if none of the other things if none of of what we've talked about already has worked, you may have a situation where your dog has something more going on than just simple, trainer problems. I really think that most anxiety issues start with the dog owner, not the dog themselves. But if you've tried all of these things and your dog is still experiencing serious anxiety, then you may need to just go and visit with a vet. And so the fourth tip for fixing dog anxiety is to have a really honest, forthright conversation with your vet. In some extreme cases, your dog may need to go on a medication or some kind of a vet prescribed program that is meant to handle anxiety. In addition to those ideas, there are the options of you can find them on YouTube. There's music that just creates some white noise, whether you're piping that into a kennel. There's actually dog TV that you can put. I've got a link to that down below if you want to check that out. Okay, so there's the four things that I think you can do to kind of help fix your dog's anxiety. Number one is socialize them to whatever it is that's causing the anxiety. The example I used was if it's separation anxiety and you need to leave, socialize them that, help them get adapted to that with short little chunks at a time. Give them, leave for 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever. You can do the same thing if new people cause anxiety. Have people come over and only stay for a little while and then leave, and just help your dog kind of get used to people coming and going. That socialization is really, really important. The second thing is to get yourself a Kong toy treat. That will solve your problem right now. The third thing that we talked about was really good physical and mental exercise, just to wear them out so that they feel like it gives them a sense of purpose, and it gives them, and then when they get back to the house, they want to rest. The fourth thing we talked about was, if you've tried everything else and nothing is working, you need to have a conversation with your vet and see if he can help you get to the root of what's causing the anxiety. Until you figure out what's causing the anxiety, you're never going to be able to help your dog get over it. So there's my 4 tips. I'd love to know, what your experience is. If you try one of these and they work, please leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know also, what other questions do you have? If you've got questions about particular dog breeds or training exercises, leave those down below, and I'll try and get back with you through either the comments or by posting a video to answer your questions. So thanks for watching. If this has been any help at all, please leave me a like, and if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe bell or hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell so you get notified every time we send out one of these videos. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you in our next video.